You have lived an unimpressive life, and died an unimpressive death. Surprisingly, Odin welcomes you into Valhalla, citing the many battles with depression you fought. Story 1. And in today's news, 7 people were found dead at the nuclear power plant. It seems there was a small leak and they died of an overdose from carbon monoxide. Here's Gary with the details of the story. Take it away, Gary. Sure thing, Sabrina. I hovered over my body like a Christmas star on top of a well-decorated Christmas tree. I could not believe that I died such an ordinary death, but my life was pretty ordinary to begin with, so go figure. My spirit slowly but then rapidly began to lift itself towards the ceiling of the power plant. It was not long until it was soaring out of Earth's atmosphere, and I knew then my journey on Earth had come to an unimpressive end. My name is Manny, and I would like to share my experience of life after death. My being entered a realm of purity. The lights were so bright that it took a while before my vision was able to adjust. But the moments of blindness were well worth the widening wait. There were halos floating rhythmically as in a dance of worship to a clear vast open sky. The aura produced by the atmosphere made it difficult to decipher if all the light was resonating from the star or the inhabitants of the wonderland. "Welcome, warrior of light," boomed a voice from the furthest point attainable to my retina. "I have witnessed many of your courageous battles. I am Odin, ruler of all you see before you. I have seen you knocked down as many times as an apple from its orchard. But you always managed to gain the strength necessary to stand on your feet. That is why I, Odin, ruler of this realm, welcome you to Altid, home of the brave and the untamed." "What in God's green earth," asked Manny, "would make you think I belong in a warrior's paradise? During my time spent on the rocky planet I was called many things, but warrior was not one of them. I read about warriors such as the barbarians, Vikings, samurais, Spartans, Celtics, and let me tell you, aside from the stuff our bodies need to survive, we have very little in common. So if it is all the same to you, I would like to go to the place where I belong so I can finally rest and not be shaken up by the triumphant horns blown during my arrival, no offense to the trumpet angels." "You are wrong, Manny," declared Odin. "He knows my name," thought Manny. "How does he know my name? I have stood witness to many of your battles versus opponents capable of dropping even the mightiest of soldiers. I have witnessed you defeat the odds many a time. You dare and judge a god's verdict? If it were not for your reputation and the fandom you have acquired over the countless battles you have endured, I would have smite thee where ye stand." "Forgive me, Odin," said Manny. "Life has not been so easy the last years I spent on the water-dominated planet. It is hard to accept the fact that something good could happen to me." "Fret not, worthy warrior," announced Odin, "I have seen your courage and vigor defeat one of the mightiest of opponents ever spawned on your planet." "One of the mightiest opponents?" asked Manny. "I apologize, but I have Nevada. Depression," announced Odin, "has been an enemy that conquered many on your planet. Anyone aware of your planet's history knows that depression has been around a very long time. Many have struggled, plenty have failed, and all have experienced the detrimental effects of this disease that plagues the sentient beings of your planet. But you, my boy, have shown what a person with heart is capable of achieving even when the odds are stacked against him. I have had good days and bad days just like any. My faith," resolved Odin, "in your species has been restored after seeing your battles. I believed that humans were the new plague of the galaxy and needed to be eradicated at once. But after witnessing your battles, I came to the conclusion that the human spirit is a valuable quality that must be conserved. I was almost convinced that your species was a lost cause until I became aware of your intangible strength and will. I was there when you lost your father and witnessed how the experience brought much strength and valor into your life. Or how else would you have been able to carry on? Why would Odin be interested in the life of a mortal?" thought Manny. "And why would he have been observing me when there were so many other important figures on the planet worthy of observation?" "Your strength and valor," stated Odin, "won over many hearts residing in Altid. I and the people of Altid would like to thank you for helping us perceive the human species in a different light. If it was not for your determination and discipline, we would have assumed the worst when you lost your closest friend. I have came to admire your spirit because even when faced with adversity, your being was able to progress and elevate itself and those around. We welcome the first human ever to set foot in Altid. All hail Altid." Manny thought to himself for a while. He saw a considerable section of the sky transform itself into a projection with his life achievements on replay. The sky was filled with clips of Manny's life achievements. Some of the clips were short and sweet and others were long and meaningful. Manny began to shed tears at the sight of himself in a cap and gown graduating from high school. That was the summer that his girlfriend left him when he most needed her, but Manny was able to dig deep and get all the credits needed to graduate. Manny almost fell over laughing when he saw the screen filled with images of his 5th grade birthday party. That party was one that Manny planned not to attend because he had lost his dog to some drunk driver's negligence. Manny took his time taking in all the beauty Altad had to offer. Manny took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. I am finally home. All hail Altad. Story 2. Life came and went. Death stayed. When I closed my eyes for the last time, the sense of dread was quickly drained out, replaced with an onrushing wave of relief. Finally. Holding on was so difficult. It hurt my hands rather, my entire body. My mind grappled with itself every day, 2 entities in one mind, with rarely an agreeable minute where we did things together instead of at odds. I didn't expect my eyelids to flutter, and feel warm light bask on my face again. Cloudy vision soon cleared into a bright blue sky, with a gigantic golden gate in front of me. The monolith stood alone, its top touching the sky. It was a door leading to nowhere, intricate patterns winding in every direction, like roots searching for. They were roots. Each of them was inscribed with runes, all sharp lines and angles. They combined into a massive trunk that took up half the door, before blossoming into a golden canopy at the top. Even at this distance, I could see each leaf and stem, painstakingly carved into the brightness. The seam cracked open, rainbow light spilling out. Almost comically, an armored man stepped through the door at its base. Though the gate obviously towered over the man backlit by the spectrum, he did not look dwarfed by it. A white beard hung past his chest plate, with one raven seated on the shoulder. Gaunt-leaped hands removed the helmet, and one eye the other hidden behind a patch swiveled to meet me. "Ah, my latest recruit," he said. One hand swept towards the door, beckoning me forth. "Come. Let us proceed." "No," I whispered warily. "What's happening?" He stood there, unmoving, an oak tree on a still day. "Anytime you want, warrior," he said. "Most people choose to enjoy Valhalla immediately. But I understand if you have reservations." Valhalla, I muttered the word under my breath. "And you are Odin?" "Yes," he said. "Of course I am. I happen to be a distinctive individual." "The Alfather," I said. "Then you know I don't deserve to be here." The god cocked his head. "Of course you do. You are here. That is the only qualification." I wrung my hands together, nervously and instinctively backing away from Odin. "Odin. I didn't die in battle," I said. "That's not how it works," Odin said. "You fought the fight. Valiantly. And then you came here. I welcome you in here, and you get to fight, but the fun kind." "It's not the kind of fight you are talking about," I said, shaking my head vigorously. "It's embarrassing." Before my eyes registered the slightest hint of movement, Odin was beside me, tapping me on my shoulder. "There is nothing embarrassing about your fight," Odin said in his booming voice. "You think your life unremarkable? Nay. It was courageous. I thought that there was nothing else but emptiness inside me." But the small turn of a valve triggered raindrops of emotion pelting my heart, forming as tears at the corners of my eyes. I didn't feel courageous at all. It didn't feel like a fight. It felt like a beatdown. "That's not for you to decide. I am all-seeing. You deem my judgment wrong?" "I don't deem anything. That's the point." "Well, rest assured," Odin said. "I've seen what my son went through. You fought a battle far more meaningful than most wars. And I've mungered many wars. And for that, I welcome you through these gates." "Your son? You will see him," Odin smiled. "Past these doors. Once you cross the threshold, everybody is equal. Everyone is a warrior who earned his place. And that includes you, young one." Wetness flowed down my cheeks unabated. "Odin," I whispered. "I don't think I should go in looking like this." "Silly lad," Odin winked. "The best battles end in crying. You'll see." Story 3. Warrior. One who would not stay hidden, one who fought against the horde, one who sought wisdom to gain strength. "May your back be strong as you stand in these halls," the voice boomed. The feeling of hard cold stone under my feet lurched me from the sweet warmth of the void. I was naked, and clutching a folding knife in my hand. In front of me I saw a figure wearing a cloak and a large hat. He held a staff with both hands. The light coming in from the windows cut in the wall behind him cast his shadow over me. You have been called here, to train for the glory of Ragnarok. Any who fight before me must join willingly. The Aesir do not share the glory of battle with slaves. A raven flew down and landed on the man's staff. It leaned forward and whispered in his ear. Swiftly the man turned and said, "Follow me." He walked with slow sure-footed strides, the regal gait of a warrior king. I intuitively followed a step behind him. My friend has informed me of your inquisitive nature. Without giving you the knowledge you seek, you will never be able to pledge your blade. These halls stand on the edge of time, in the very veins of Yggdrasil itself. Speak now, warrior, drink of my wisdom that it may quench your thirst. He navigated the maze of corridors as we walked. Who are you? What happened? Am I have many names, he said quickly before I could finish my sentence. The one-eyed, Grimnir, the sure-footed, the delighter of Phrygia, the wise, Jinar, the wanderer, the thunderer, the god of the gallows, god of men, the leader, the all-father, the terrible one. He stopped and looked at me, removing his hat. A patch covered one of his eyes, but I felt both staring deeply into my soul. You, however, would know me best as Odin. He turned and opened a door on the wall behind him. As I stepped inside, I saw an axe and shield along with leather sandals and armor next to a basin. Odin began murmuring something I did not understand as he stepped forth and washed my skin. He then helped me dress with the armor, at last strapping the shield to my arm. Finally he looked to my right hand and gestured for my knife. While this may have secured your passage, there is no need for it here. I handed it to him willingly and he thrust the axe in my hand. There, now that you are dressed as you were meant to be, come with me, I will show you the hall. We left the room and continued down the corridor. I began to hear screaming and the clashing of swords. Here we train. One day my blood brother will betray us. He will pay for his crime, but will think my ruling unjust. The sounds grew louder. I could see a large door coming into view at the end of the corridor. We train here to do battle with his children and kin. Those who were valiant warriors are brought here to fight and feast, to share the glory of the final battle. Why was I brought here then? I was you, he snapped, cutting me off again. You waged battle every moment of your life. A warrior who fights only man or giant can return to his home and rest, but you fought the wolves inside of you. Day in and day out, you rose and fought without any quarter. You stood against pain from inside and out. For that, you have earned your right to enter this hall. He stopped in front of the door. So I ask of you, will you pledge your axe to me? I thought for a moment about the pain I had felt. About the times as a child when I had cried about wanting to go home while sitting in my room. About the feelings of dread and anxiety that would come throughout my life at a moment's notice. I was always on edge, always miserable, always tired, always hearing so many voices putting me down in my head or stressing me out. I could not deny that I had fought for as long as I could remember. Perhaps this was the afterlife meant for me. I will, all father, but I need to ask one more question. Of course, he said. I could tell he already knew what I was going to ask. I remember my life, but I don't know how I died. What happened? The sound of swords clashing and screaming grew louder behind the doors. He frowned slightly and said, Valhalla is a place for warriors. Only those who die in battle may walk these halls. Only those who are overcome by their enemy may share in this glory. And at that he pushed the doors open. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more, YouTube thinks you might like these videos.